I know this place too well to need them. So when I shut the door behind me, the hallway becomes a yellow sliver under the door. I do not feel around for a switch. Instead, I replace my keys in my emerald clutch and leave it on the mahogany console table beside a pile of letters. I imagine that most of them are from faceless entities asking for money, and that at least a few of them are owed it. That is a problem for another day. In the dark, I can imagine that they are all letters of congratulations. As I move wordlessly through the shadowy rooms, I shed more pieces of the night. Kitten heels kicked lazily under the chaise lounge. Diamond earrings nestled between the pages of a half-read Borges novel. Long satin gloves left to stroke the stems of the water lilies in the vase on the kitchen island. A silk scarf laid like a blanket over Prince Tuesday, or calico who sleeps in the linen closet. In the morning, they will become a breadcrumb trail, away from my groggy, half-awake future self to retrace the steps of the woman I am now. But in the stillness of the night, they are gifts. Finally, I reach my bedroom. The bombs go off prematurely, coloring the room blue, green, and lilac in flashes. I reach behind my neck, momentarily fingering my diamond choker before I undo the halter of my dress. The fabric sighs as it slips from my shoulders, cascading down my body and pooling at my feet. I look out for a moment before I step out of it, leaving it behind like the shed skin of some strange creature. I linger in front of the full-length mirror by the window, watching as I am illuminated again and again by fires in the sky. In the soft light, my body looks unfamiliar, like it belongs to some younger, luckier woman. Despite myself, I run my hands down my sides. I have never seen all my curves and planes stay exactly where I left them. "You're a beautiful woman," his voice comes from the corner, and I realize that I forgot to remove my diamond choker. Do you know that? I hadn't expected him home so early. I don't know his face well. I'm always too focused on his hands to make much of it. I think of his question and wonder how well he knows my face. I look too much like my mother to be called beautiful honestly, but I have been drinking and I'm in a silly mood. Do you think? I ask, studying my face in the mirror during each small burst of light. I really do, he says. I turn to look at him, or where I think he might be. I still do not see him. "You'd be this beautiful too if you'd come to the gala," I reply without a hint of sauce in my voice. "Or if you stayed up as late as I do, if you had no rotten heart." By this time, he has stood up from the bed and felt his way to me in the dark. He is behind me, I know. "You don't think the gossip pages would like to know that?" he asks, trying to unclasp my choker. "That your secret to staying young and beautiful is wickedness?" "They would," I whisper, laying my hand on his to stay it. "But some things have to stay mine." He understands my double meaning and moves his hands from the clasp to my waist. I look at my reflection again and think first that I like myself this way, in only my underwear and jewelry, and then that so many beautiful things are impractical. "You don't mind my wickedness?" I ask. It's a leading question in a way I did not intend, but he takes it as sincerely as I meant it. "It's what drew me to you," he says. And when he puts a period on his sentence, I say, "Tell me more." I want to look at him when he answers. He's never told me why he approached me, and a part of me has always assumed it was only because it was last call, and he had decided earlier that night in the bathroom mirror that he would not be alone when he returned. Thinking of Eurydice, I keep my eyes on my own reflection. You had a way of looking around the room, of making idle chatter with the bar back, of stirring your drink with a cocktail straw, as if you were in on some cosmic joke that made you incensed to be at a hotel bar in Vienna. I was reading a book, wasn't I? You were. He traces tiny circles on my hip while he tries to remember. A Jeff Buckley biography, he decides, or Love in the Time of Cholera. I interlock my fingers with his and the bombs stop. We are now in complete darkness. I only know Hallelujah, I smirk, and I've never been to Austria. Besides, Vargas Llosa hated Garcia Marquez. He laughs, and I take it as an invitation to go on. We met on a boat, Port Hercule, and I approached you. I thought it was so novel, the way you looked like you were waiting for someone even though we had already set sail, and you were the one reading. You had a briefcase, and when I asked what was inside, you said City of Night. He sighs in a way that lets me know he's letting me win even though I haven't convinced him. I wonder if he could smell the perfume on my neck or the flat champagne on my brow. I changed my mind. Maybe it was at the Big Daddy Kane mural in Bed-Stuy. Or no, the Elliott Smith Memorial Wall in Silver Lake. That was it. I asked why you wrote, "I'll see you soon." His smile slowly fades into a laugh, like an orchid blooming in time lapse. He returns with his own. No, Elliot was still alive then. You were calling the bouncers words I'd never heard before while they threw you out of the Viper room. How old would that make me? I ask innocently. He pauses. That depends. What time is it? I listen closely. I thought I would be able to pick them out after the bomb stopped, but the voices on the street outside still sound like ambient white noise. I don't know, I say finally, and he accepts my response and starts to do the math. A page from Jonas Gordvine slips between the floorboards under our feet. The bookstore below us is leaking again. I don't think I even liked reading before I moved here, I confess as I pick up the page and hand it to him. What changed your mind? He asks. I found the first page of The Salt Eaters in the medicine cabinet when I was cleaning up after the housewarming party. He's by the window now, and I replay our conversation, trying to pinpoint the moment when he took his hands off my waist and stopped whispering in my ear. I can make out his silhouette, but his features blur when I try to focus on them. He's only half listening, so I sneak in the last word on a matter we've already put to bed. The housewarming party where we met. The people on the street outside start to count backwards from 10, and I know that it is time. He taps the window on the windowsill, or he taps his finger on the windowsill in 3/4 time along with them. I expect 7 to throw off the meter, but it doesn't. Am I too tall? I ask when they reach 5. I don't know where the question came from, but suddenly it feels urgent. He takes 4 and 3 to think it over. I know from his silence that he wants to ask too tall for what, but he already knows the answer, and time is suddenly of the essence. For this story, he whispers. It is a question without the intonation of one. 2, chant the people outside. I can see some of them on the roof of the apartment across the street, silhouetted by the night. Yes. Oh, he smiles. Of course not. 1. You wouldn't be in this story if there weren't room for you, he assures me. And then in time with the people outside, he wishes me, Happy New Year, gorgeous. They don't say the last word with him. The last word belongs only to him, and the others cheer so loudly that I barely hear him say it. Just before the bombs begin again, I undo the clasp with my choker and let it slip to the floor. When the first of them goes off, it fills the room with a momentary white light so bright that even though he's illuminated for the first time, I still cannot see his face in front of mine. When the room goes dark again, the diamonds covering the floor are stars, each of them holding its own tiny shard of light. Happy New Year, I tell him back. And for the record,